Okay. Okay, I think there's a problem of network. Can we therefore go to the next item, which is questions for oral reply to the executive in terms of Rule 134, starting with Honourable Moriarty to MEC for Cocta and Human Settlement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask the MEC for Cooperative Governance, Traditional Affairs and Human Settlements regarding the appointment of Mr. Mzubanzi Zugile Silinga in the City of Johannesburg. Could the MEC please indicate, one, has the MEC received a response from Johannesburg Mayor Jeff Makubo on this matter? Two, if yes, on what date was such letter received? Three, if yes to one, what justification did Mayor Makubo provide for the appointment of Mr. Silinga? Four, if no reply has been received, what action has the MEC taken against the Mayor? And five, if no action has been taken, why not? Thank you.
Honourable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The answer to the first question is yes. And the answer to the second question is that we received the response on the 2nd of June 2021 upon conclusion of their own internal investigation of the matter, and it required further investigation to be conducted that will be concluded on or before the end of June 2021. On question 3, the recruitment process included inter alia reference checks, credit backgrounds, check qualifications and security vetting, which came positive and providing the city with clearance to appoint the candidate. The city only became aware of allegations of the previous improper conduct on the part of the candidate after the complaints were formally raised with the office of the MEC. And following the complaints, a letter was, following the complaint, a letter was written to Mr. Silinga in which allegations of misinterpretation of his CV, in that he deliberately omitted certain important information that would have painted him in bad light and possibly not make him eligible for the appointment of executive head social development in the city of Joburg. He was informed that the city views these allegations in a serious light, and if found true, they may constitute a serious problem, and might have to, the council might have to change the decision of employing him. He was also informed that he was not required to start employment with the city until the finalization of the investigation into the allegations that are made. And Mr. Silinga accepted the city's proposition to fully investigate the allegations before he resumes his employment with the city, and further promised to fully cooperate with the investigation. On your question 4, the executive mayor has responded, as I've just given the response. And on the question 5, refer to the responses on the above. Thank you very much.
Honourable Moriarty, do you have a short remark?
Yes, thank you very much. And I thank the Honourable MEC. I think that's a very comprehensive response, and it addresses even more than what I was seeking to see addressed. So I'm grateful for his response. I will certainly convey that to my colleagues. And I just wish that the Mayor's office in the City of Johannesburg could respond similarly, otherwise it would not have needed to have come to the Honourable MEC. I just want to make one point though. In the Honourable MEC's reply, The reference checks that were referred to seem to have omitted all of these allegations that are in fact, outcomes of previous cases against Mr. Silinger, which are in the public domain. There was a serious failure on behalf of whoever was doing those reference checks, and I wonder if there was malafides there, and perhaps the MEC would consider investigating that as well. Thank you.
Any comments, Honourable MEC?
No, I'm not going to investigate anything, Honourable Speaker. I don't run municipalities, and I refuse to be drawn into day-to-day running of municipalities. We will never have that capacity, but we will continue to provide oversight, and whenever issues of maladministration are brought to our attention, we'll attend to them.
It's under administration forever there.
Shut up, stupid. Shut up, you stupid idiot. So what I'm not going to do is to...
You can't call our leader a stupid idiot.
No, he's stupid.
Please.
You can't even...
It's under a mess.
Colleagues, if you make noise, we can't even hear what is being said by others, please. Can you save our ears? Are you done, Honourable MEC?
You must call the MEC to order.
You have
call him to order.
You have not been recognized, Honourable Mabala.
But if
Thank you, Chair. I'm done.
Okay. Call us to order, but with them you don't.
But there's a process. If you
order.
No, Honourable Mabala, there's a process in terms of doing that. You don't just do it anyhow. Please respect the House, because you are making noise. I could not even hear what the MEC was saying. Please.
Can I rise on a point of order?
There's no point of order. We're done. If you are aggrieved, please write a letter to the Rules Committee. We'll attend to your query.
Okay, I will definitely write the letter.
Honourable Ntsege to the MEC for Cogta and Human Settlement.
Thank you, Speaker. With regards to the clinic building in Emangweni, Ward 8, Ekurhuleni, how much money in rands and cents was used to build this facility, and when was it built? What else was this facility used for, when and date? Did this facility stop being used? How much did it cost to use a mobile clinic for this community every month from January 2016 to end of April 2021? If this building was repaired, how much would it cost in rands and cents? And how much in rands and cents was paid to a security company to protect this facility from when it was built until the end of April 2021? Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable MEC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I respond to this question because I respect the House, but in all fairness, it does not belong to me. I'm not MEC for Health or Social Development. I don't know why it was not referred to the said MEC. So in future, I'm putting it on record, Honourable Speaker, that I won't respond to such questions that are...
you will respond. It's not your house. You will respond.
Shut up, man. I think we're in a toilet here. So I'm saying, Honourable Speaker, the rules are clear, but I will respond on this one. On the first question is that according to the city, the Health and Social Development Department's record indicate that there is no clinic building in Emangweni, Ward 8, that is owned by the city of Ekurhuleni. So that is the response from them. It's not my response. Don't ask me why it's not there. Don't ask me things that have nothing to do with me. And then the second question, I'm saying refer to the question given on the first one. The third question, it says that the annual salary cost based on the current salaries on the maximum notch of the salary scale. I'm giving details there, but the total, it's about 2.8 million plus, and the details are there. And the cost for the mobile clinic, it also gives the number there. For the period 1 January 2016, meaning there was a mobile clinic there, January 2016 to end April 2021, which includes maintenance, fuel, and license, is about 184, I think it's million. And based on the maximum notch of the current salaries, which is put on the tables that will give to the member, and estimated for 5 years, the total salaries will be about 14 million plus. And on the next question, we say refer to the answers that are given above. And yeah, even the next one, we say refer to the question given above. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ntsakhe, do you have any supplementary question or a short remark?
I'd like to make a short remark, Honorable Speaker. This particular clinic, Honorable Speaker, belongs to a municipality, not to province. So if it had been a provincial clinic, I would have happily referred it to the Department of Health. But since it's a municipal building, that's why I referred it to COCTA, because if you want issues with the municipality, you refer the questions to COCTA, Procedurable, Honorably Maile. The second thing I want to say to you is there is a mobile clinic that parks at that building, Honorable Maile. If the municipality wanted to be efficient, instead of parking a mobile clinic outside the building, which has turned into a white elephant, they could rather be using that building and making sure that that building is secured properly. Right now, that building is being vandalized, which means the municipality is wasting money, building a facility, not utilizing it, and ultimately it ends up being vandalized. Yes, I've done the research, post the questions. It belongs to the Department of, the art department. By now, if you had done your own research, I think you would have identified that you could have actually suggested to your, as oversight to the municipality, that maybe instead of parking a mobile clinic where people are waiting outside in the cold, they could rather be revamping that clinic, which won't cost a lot of money, so that elderly people and the community don't sit outside in this cold that we are facing in Gauteng, and rather be utilizing that facility
it's a short
as a
remark.
clinic, especially when you remember
Your short remark should be short, Honorable Ntsakhe. Your short remark should be short. Thank you. Honorable MEC, do you want to comment?
Yes. The honorable member, okay. Perhaps you think you understand and you know what you're talking about, and you don't know anything, because the function of health, it's a provincial function held on behalf of the provincial government by the Department of Health, and it's delegated to the municipalities. So you should have directed that question to the Department of Health. So not, you know, the law says that the provincial government, not even COCTA, in terms of the constitution. So don't act clever on things that you don't know. You must ask. The constitution says, in terms of section 154, the provincial government provides oversight. Yeah, man. Yes. So you must ask. And when I accept education, you must accept education. Don't be allergic to education. You talk things that you don't know. And then you want to tell me I did not do my research. I do my research on everything. And that's why I know that section 154 of the Constitution, you must go and read it. I'll give you a copy if you don't have it. So I've done you a favor by answering this question. It belongs to health. Next time you ask me things that have nothing to do with me, I'm not going to answer them. Yes. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Switch on the video. Switch on the video.
The next question, Honorable Bloom to MEC for Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, to the Honourable MEC for Health. Regarding the Anglo-Ashanti Hospital, the MEC please indicate, 1, is this hospital now owned by the Gauteng Provincial Government? 2, how much in total in rands and cents has been spent on this hospital? 3, how many staff have been recruited for this hospital? 4, when will the ICU beds be staffed and equipped and ready for use? And 5, will any of these ICU beds be used for the treatment of COVID-19 patients? Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, and thank you, Honorable Bloom, for the question. Response to question 1. The hospital does not yet belong to the Gauteng provincial government, and the hospital is at zero rate lease whilst we are waiting for the donation to be finalized by GDID. Response to question 2. So far, processed invoices to contractors is 393,067,372 and 61 cents. Processed invoices for consultants is 80,533,547 and 44 cents. Response to question 3, there is no approved structure or organogram for the hospital yet. Currently, the district has contracted a pool of COVID-19 personnel for the Merafong sub-district who as and when necessary, depending on existences. Response to question: this all depends on the budget. Health technology equipment is being sourced, and this is a work in progress. The respective Human Resource Directorate is doing the staffing procedures. It all depends on the availability of funds. Response to question 4. Definitely all Gauteng hospitals are different in design. The GDID makes them fit for purpose in accordance with the Gauteng Department of Health requirements. This facility too will be made to fit for the purpose. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Any supplementary question or short remark, Honorable Bloom?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the whole point of this hospital, of which close to 5 million rand has been spent, is that the ICU beds would be used for serious cases of COVID-19. Now we hear that it's only going to be used for quarantine and isolation purposes. And in fact, there isn't the staff or equipment for these ICU beds. So, you know, honestly, it just seems to be like a gigantic waste of money when the whole point of this refurbishing this hospital very expensively was for COVID-19 cases, particularly serious cases that needed ICU. Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think Honorable Bloom is missing the point here because the decision to utilize the 40-bedded, the 40 beds that are for ICU in the Anglo-Ashanti are being staffed, and the equipments are also working. So we decided that we'll prioritize for COVID because of the surge. We'll only prioritize these 40 beds, and then after that, post-COVID, the hospital will then be utilized for other things. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next question, Honorable Bloom to Honorable MEC.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Regarding the Nasrec Field Hospital, will the MEC please indicate, 1, what are the decommissioning activities at this facility? 2, what is the total cost in rands and cents of these decommissioning activities? 3, what decommissioning still remains to be done? 4, how much extra in rands and cents has been spent in rental and associated costs to the Joburg Expo Centre as a result of the decommissioning activities? And 5, whether the decommissioning costs were anticipated and budgeted for. Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Bloom, for the question. If Honorable Speaker can allow, for the sake of time, there are about 25 activities with regard to the decommissioning of Nasrec, and they also have the starting date and the responsible person. If the Honorable Speaker allows, Honorable Bloom will be able to go through that at his own spare time. And then the response to question 2, the decommissioning at Hall 5 of Nazareth, we spent 449,722,000, and the contractor that was appointed is Dot Design Group. The invoice is submitted to finance to be processed. The second one on decommissioning at Hall 6 of Nazareth, we spent 490,259. And then the appointed contractor there is Lufuna Trading and Projects. The invoice is also being processed at finance. The second last is the loading and transportation of various HVAC equipments to Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital. The appointed contractor was Industrial General Distributors, and then the amount spent is 1.996,391.38. The invoice is also submitted at finance for processing. The last one is the loading and transportation of various wet services equipment. The appointed service provider was Lamzo Projects, and then we spent 547,112.50 cents, and the total amount spent is 3.483,484.88. Response to question 3, the decommissioning has been completed, Honorable Speaker. Response to question 4, there is no additional costs. Response to question 5, yes, the decommissioning was budgeted for. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable MEC, I think the document or the responses should be submitted through the through proceedings for record purposes. Then we'll hand over to Honorable Bloom. Honorable Bloom, any supplementary question or short remark?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yes, I will go through the written response. So it amounts to nearly 3.5 million rand decommissioning. Of course, you know, the expense of this hospital, the field hospital, I think is being scrutinised. There are very critical remarks by the Auditor General. And I think we need to know if there was value for money, because something like 250 million rand was spent on a field hospital that was barely utilised. And I think we need to evaluate, you know, if there was any corruption and if people overcharged, and if we can recover any money on this. Thank you.
Honourable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. The comments are noted.
Thank you. Next question, Honourable Ndlovana to MEC for Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker and the MEC. Noting that the Department of Health has an annual adjustment on service payable by patients at provincial hospitals and ambulance services. Can the MEC please indicate, one, if there is any public participation process before the tariff increase? If yes, how is the public participation process done? If not, why? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Ndlovana, for the question. Response to question 1, yes, there is a public participation process before the tariff increases. The public participation process is done through the following process. The services payable by patients at provincial hospital, including mortuary and ambulance services, are sent to the State Law Advisor at the Premier's Office by Gauteng Department of Health for certification, and thereafter published in the Gazette for public comment for 30 calendar days before the tariff increase can be implemented. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Ndlovana, any supplementary question or short remark?
No, thanks, Madam Speaker. I'm satisfied about the answer, so that we should be able to clarify if there are questions raised by public members. Thanks, Speaker and the MEC.
Thank you very much. That concludes questions for oral reply to the Executive. I once more want to thank all MECs for having responded to all the questions again. I'm sure you are aware that there's no questions for oral explanation in the House. Thank you very much, MECs. Can I request the Secretary to read the first order?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The first order of the day is Oversight Committee of the Premier's Office and the Legislature Standing Committee Oversight Report of the fourth quarterly performance report of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature for the year 2020-2021 financial year. Thank you.
Before I call on Honourable Dlamini, can I remind members to fill in the register? Those that are connected virtually, can you fill in an online register for record purposes? Thank you very much. Honourable Dlamini.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Honourable members of the executive, leaders of political parties, and Honourable members and residents of Gauteng. I would ask Speaker, for the purposes of saving time, that the rest of the parts of the reports that have not yet been taken as read, I'll just go to the executive summary. We are presenting the fourth quarter report of the legislature. This committee oversight report is considered at a time when COVID-19 is engulfing the globe, and this necessitated the reprioritization of the budgets. The committee notes that the 2021-2022 budget. No, I'm reading a wrong document. Sorry, Speaker. I'm sorry about that. During the fourth quarter report, the GPL has set a total of 20 performance targets, of which 14 were achieved and 6 were not. The performance information reports reflects the performance of an institution that was operating under very challenging circumstances, that has hastened the use of technology, specifically virtual platforms, to operate or provide most of its services and activities. It is anticipated that there would be some challenges that will be reflected by the performance information as operations adjust to the new normal. The Oversight Committee reports provides both the macro and micro performance of the GPL during the fourth quarter of the 2020-2021 financial year. Due to the implications of the lockdown because of the COVID-19, the GPL has to amend its APP to ensure that its operations respond appropriately. This meant that choices had to be made to ensure that only the activities that would be feasible under the conditions imposed by the COVID-19 regulations are planned, while those that would require physical interaction were limited unless alternative mechanism could be devised to ensure that such performance can be achieved. The committee noted that the performance targets for this quarter were skewed towards strategic outcome 5, enhance compliance with relevant fiduciary requirements and principles of good governance, which accounted for 8 out of 20 that were planned. This was followed by strategic outcome 1, enhance oversight and accountability towards service delivery, which accounted for 5 performance targets. Then the strategic outcome 2, increase responses of laws to meet the needs of the people of Gauteng, accounted for 3 performance targets, and strategic outcome 3, enhance meaningful public participation, that accounted for 2 performance targets. Strategic outcome 4 accounted for 1 performance target. Out of the performance targets that were planned on strategic outcome 1, only 4 were achieved, namely an oversight report on the performance of committees was produced and submitted to the chairperson of standing committees of chairpersons. 78 SOM oversight reports were adopted by the House, 20 oversight question papers were produced and distributed to the executive, and 4 motions adopted by the House. 4 motions adopted by the House. The 2 performance targets that were not realized are the consideration of the response of the resolutions by the committees and a performance throughout the 4 adopted committee inquiry report. The committee noted that consideration of the responses of committees' resolutions remains an area of non-performance throughout the 4 quarters of 2020-21 financial year. The GPL reported that the work of the committee inquiry on Ibuye Primary School had started when a concept paper was drafted. The legal opinion was provided and the plan outlining the inquiry process was completed. However, due to a need to engage thoroughly with other key stakeholders before the commencement of the inquiry, the process was halted and will be resurrected in the new financial year. With respect to strategic outcome 2, namely increased responses of laws to meet the needs of the people of Gauteng, there were 3 planned performance targets which were all achieved. There were 3 NCOP bills and 4 provincial bills referred that are at different stages of the lawmaking process and before different houses committees. Under strategic outcome 3, enhanced meaningful public participation, all 2 planned performance targets were achieved. Achievement was reported on the number of people reached through digital media platforms and the petitions considered by the Petition Standing Committee. A total of 101,625 people were reached through various digital media platforms, namely Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. With respect to the petitions considered, a total of 49 petitions were considered, consequently closing the performance deviation reported in quarter 3. The committee is of the view that GPL still has a backlog of petitions dating from the 5th legislature, and this is concerning and requires an intervention to improve the efficiency in the turnaround in which the petitions submitted get the attention they require. In terms of strategic 4, the performance targets of achieving 80% of the planned milestone of the 5-year inter-legislature relations strategy implementation was achieved. There was a total of 8 performance targets that were planned under strategic outcome 5. In terms of the budget expenditure performance for the quarter under review, the GPL allocated a total of amount of 191,082,000 and managed to spend 135,064,000, which represent a 71% expenditure pattern. The underspending is recorded under compensation of employees due to delays in the filling of vacant position, non-implementation of the medical aid subsidy, and overtime savings as a result of working from home due to COVID-19 pandemic. Goods and services underspend due to the digital parliamentary projects, delays in the generation of the hybrid committee rooms and auditorium, and outstanding payments of the service provider for the hybrid chamber due to delayed invoice. COVID-19 response delays in the delivery of supplies, GPL comprehensive insurance, citizen responsibility campaign, NCOP meetings, and parliamentary briefings and committee activities. Capital asset underspent due to delays in the replacement of the GPL old fleet comprising 3 sedans and 2 buggies, 2 unavailability of stock, and delays in the delivery. There were no concerns during the consideration of the 4th quarterly performance report. The committee would like to acknowledge the cooperation of the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature, Honorable N.L. Mehwe, and the Provincial Secretary, Mr. Skhosana, and the senior officials. I would also like to thank the following members of the committee for their commitment: Honorable Kumalo, Honorable Hassan, Honorable Ngube, Honorable Makubela, Honorable Msimang, Honorable Blom, Honorable Mukwebo, Honorable Mabala, Honorable Albert, and Honorable Adams. I would also like to thank the support staff for their dedication, as listed in the report. In accordance with Rule 164 of the Standing Committee Rule of GPL, the committee hereby present the report to the House for adoption. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to the report?
I second I stand to second the report, Madam Speaker.
I wonder what were you thinking, Honorable Simon. The report is seconded. I now put the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yeah.
All those not in favor say no. The yes have it. The report is adopted by the House. Can we have the next order?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The second order of the day is Oversight Committee on the Premier's Office in the Legislature Standing Committee Oversight Report of the 4th Quarterly Performance Report of the Office of the Premier for the year 2020-2021 financial year. Thank you.
Can I request members in the House, if your gadget is on, please lower your sound, because it causes an echo. Thank you. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just bear with me. I'm trying to open the next report. Okay. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I would also like to the parts of the report that I've not read to be taken as read in order to be able to save time. The summary of the department achievement for the period under review, the committee's assessment of the Office of the Premier's fourth quarterly performance for the 2020-2021 financial year evaluates the achievements made on the targets set in the annual performance plan to ensure the fulfillment of government's goals and priorities. Therefore, performance information plays a significant role in planning and monitoring service delivery, as well as measuring the achievement of the set targets to ensure value for money. The overall financial performance of the Office of the Premier in the quarter under review reflected an expenditure of 184 million, which represents 77% of the overall budget allocation of 241 million, and 56 million underspending was incurred in terms of program performance. Program 1 administration spent 37% and recorded 57 million, of which is 66% underspent out of the total allocation of 92.1 million. The non-financial performance of the office delivery programs highlighted that 70 as opposed to 85 APP targets were achieved and 14 were not achieved. The committee welcomes the GPG's move of incorporating community development workers to the hotline center. This is a commendable initiative in ensuring the coordination of field work that the government is doing. However, 1 million remains a weakness in the performance of the Office of the Premier. The committee is concerned that there is no correlation between the achieved targets and the money spent on 1 million, and consequence management should be implemented to ensure accountability. It is concerning that there is no clear indications to measure the performance of 1 million. The committee is aware of the overall budget allocation for this program, but is not clear how the financial resources are broken down in alignment to the quarterly set. The Office of the Premier should provide clarity on people who are benefiting from the massive infrastructure projects taking place in Gauteng in terms of employment. The committee is of the view that the Gauteng provincial government should interlink these infrastructure projects with the 1 million program to ensure that the unemployment youth benefit from these projects. In mitigating this challenge, the Office of the Premier reported that it will be launching 1 million in June 2021 as a marketing initiative of creating awareness of the program to fast-track service delivery to the Gauteng youth. The Gauteng provincial government's response of facilitating the submission of the Township Economic Development Bill to the Gauteng legislature to be passed into an act is acknowledged. It is noted that the SMME fund is in the process of being established with a government contribution of 250 million. The Office of the Premier has reported that the government has sourced 2 partnerships in support of the SMME's fund, the IDC being the first partner, as it has a small business fund to support small business nationwide. It's noted that the IDC's contribution will support the industrialization and innovation of SMMEs, but the amount has not yet been determined. It is noted that the IDC has been roped in to support SMMEs on the terms and conditions of the Gauteng provincial government instead of its risk-averse approach that it is accustomed to. It is noted that the SMMEs fund will become active before the bill is passed. The committee urges the office to speedily secure the second partnership to ensure that the SMMEs are given the support they need to grow their businesses. The committee's findings and concern, despite the vacancy rate being at an unacceptable level of 10% in the GPG, the committee is concerned about the high number of vacant posts in some of the departments. The committee is concerned that 1 million program remains a challenge in achieving the intended targets of reducing youth unemployment in Gauteng in order in quarter under review, the target of 1 out of 4 pillars of the 1 million was achieved. The committee recommendations would like the Premier to provide a report on how the high vacant position in some of the GPG departments are affecting service delivery. The report should specify these departments and further indicate how the Office of the Premier is assisting in filling these vacant posts. Provide clarity on whether the GPG has signed a service level agreement with Harambee in ensuring the achievements of the set targets for the 1 million program. If the LSA has been signed, the office should provide a report on the penalties imposed to Harambee for the non-achievement of the signed performance agreement. Provide an update on the disaggregated number of youth per corridor who benefited from the 1 million program in the quarter under review. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank and acknowledge the cooperation of the Office of the Premier and the role played by the Honourable Premier, Honourable D.M. Makura, the Acting Director General, Mr. T. Masebe, and the senior officials. I also wish to thank the commitment and hard work of the members of the committee, as listed in the previous report, and the support staff. In accordance with Rule 164 of the Standing Rule of the GPL, the committee hereby present the report to the House for adoption. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any seconder to the report?
I second, Speaker. Member Adams.
Honorable Adams, seconding, thank you. I now put a question. All those in favor say yes. All those voting All those not in favor say no. The yes have it. The report is adopted by the House. Can we have the next order?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The third order of the day is consideration of the Oversight Committee on the Premier's Office and the Legislature Standing Committee Oversight Report on the detail of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Budget Vote 2 of the Provincial Appropriation Bill G001 of 2021 for the year 2021-2022 financial year. Thank you.
Honourable Dlamini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just bear with me. I'm still opening this thing. I'm a BBT, by the way, but at least I'm getting there. Thanks to the legislature. Just bear with me.
The chairperson of the committee of ANC.
We watch it overall when I job papa. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Am I audible?
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like the other parts of the report that I have not read to be taken as read. I'll just deal with the executive summary. The committee oversight report is considered at a time when COVID-19 is engulfing the globe, and this has necessitated the reproduction of the budgets. The committee notes that the 2021-2022 budget allocation has decreased from 817.8 million by 26.7 million, which is 3% of the 791 million. A large portion of the budget is allocated to Program 3, which is Corporate Services, and Program 4, Core Business, and 402 million and 258 million respectively. The budget for Program 3, Corporate Services, political parties, support functions to members and administration, and operational projects. The budget for Program 4, Core Business, will cater for the core functionings and costs associated with the profiling of and promotion of GPL through media houses in order to reach out to all communities in the province about the work of the GPL. The Office of the Chief Financial Officer received the third largest share of the budget, which is 57 million. Leadership and Governance received 51 million, and Office of the Secretary received 21 million. The committee knows that the allocated budget did not meet the budgetary requirements for all the programs, and that required representation of the funds from compensation of employees, slow performance areas, and non-core areas. The allocation for goods and services was reprioritized on travel, accommodation, conferences, internal catering, and the use of external commercial venues, amongst others. Compensation of employees was also reprioritized through the freezing of annual salary increases, pay progression, performance bonuses, and 13th check, as well as suspension of the internship program and position awaiting the conclusion of the organizational development exercise. The committee further notes that a notable portion of the budget was cut from Program 4, Core Business. The budget was also reprioritized from Program 1. The committee represents its oversight report on the budget vote 2 of the GPL for the 2020-21 financial year, and this follows a complete research analysis which was done focusing on the overall budget appropriation as well as budget allocation for programs. The purpose of the assessment was to ascertain if the allocations correspond with the priorities as set out in our annual performance plan for the 2021-2022 financial year. The assessment was based on the GPL's oversight framework which puts emphasis on policy prioritization, checking the relationship between the budget and the achievement. Inputs, budget, outputs, achievement measures against the target, and outcomes, achievements measured against the priorities. The report further provides a summary of the GPL's overall budget allocation in the programs, budget allocation and economic classifications, and overall assessment. The committee is of your view that the budget responds adequately to the priorities as set out in the annual performance plan, the APP for 2021-2022 financial year. The committee notes that the budget allocation for 2021 was prepared with an emphasis that funds are reprioritized from non-essential, and there was also emphasis on cost efficiency measures to promote more quality work with less resources. The committee further notes that the budget has been crafted within the prescribed principle of cost efficiency and the GPL's budget management practice guide. The committee welcomes the GPL's decision to conduct annual workshop with service providers to increase awareness relating to supply chain management processes and policies. The committee also welcomes the GPL's commitment to continue prioritizing the allocation of business to local and township service providers, historically disadvantaged individuals, women, youth, and people with disability. The committee commends the GPL for embarking on a prioritization process which resulted in shifting 20 million from goods and services to capital assets to fund emerging priorities, one of them being the insourcing of security personnel. The committee noted with concern that the GPL does not adhere to budget contracting as per the sector oversight model requirement. The GPL must submit a draft APP budget before MEC signs off to the committee for comments. However, the GPL has not adhered to the above as it sends finalized APPs and budget. The committee only interacts with both finalized documents. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends that the GPL submit a report detailing the reasons for non-adherence to the SOM requirements budget contracting and its plans to start implementing this process by the 31st of July in 2021. The committee would like to acknowledge the cooperation of the Speaker and the senior management, the honourable members, and the support staff. In accordance with Rules 164, the committee presents the report for consideration and adoption by the House.
Do you have a seconder?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you,
I stand to second the report, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Sman. Now I call the question. All those who say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those, yes. Those who object to the report, can they say no? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Secretary, the next order, please.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. The next order of the day is tabling of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Budget Vote 2 of the Provincial Appropriation Bill G001 of 2021 for the year 2021-2022 financial year. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Honourable Mekwe, Speaker of the House.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Nomvuyo Mhlakaza Manamela, Chairperson of Committees, Honourable Sizakele Nkosi Malubane, Deputy Chairperson of Committees, Honourable Mpapa Kanyane, Premier of Gauteng, Honourable David Makura. Want to wish him a speedy recovery. Members of the Executive Council, I also see the birthday girl and the birthday boy are in the house. Happy birthday to Honourable Tawu, who had her birthday on Sunday, the 6th of June, and Honourable Ralehoku, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday. In fact, Honourable, the Deputy Speaker wanted to sing for you earlier on, but leaders of political parties represented in the legislature, members of the legislature, the chief whip of the governing party, distinguished guests, people of Gauteng. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to stand before you today in this august house as I present the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, the budget vote number 2 for 2021-2022 to the people of Gauteng. 70 years ago, yesterday, the 7th of June 2021, South Africa and the world at large noted the passing of one of the most influential leaders and fathers of our nation, Pixley Seme, who passed away on the 7th of June 1951. Mr. Seme was widely credited for being instrumental in founding what is today known as the African National Congress, the current governing party in South Africa. His contribution to South African politics was characterized by the call for unity, for a coherent voice, and for mutual purpose when addressing any matter of mutual interest. Thus, while Pixley Seme may have left us 70 years ago, his message rings true and clear today as if he were still among us, and it is therefore important that we honor the legacy of this visionary giant by holding true to his message. In unity lies the strength to challenge any issue of mutual interest. Long live the legacy of Pixley Seme, long live. Honorable Deputy Speaker, today the 8th of June 2021, 45 years ago, security police of the brutal apartheid regime arrived at Naledi High School in Soweto and attempted to arrest the leader of the local branch of the South African Students' Movement as part of the ongoing struggle to force Africans down the throats of black African learners. 8 days later, on the 16th of June 1976, Tsietsi Mashinini led a peaceful protest. I want to repeat, a peaceful protest of learners in Soweto. It goes, however, without saying that that peaceful protest was met by violence, punishment, brutality, cruelty, and murder by the murderous apartheid regime. While we commemorate the June 16 uprising every year, I state forcefully that the plight of the students and the broader struggle for equal rights in South Africa should be a daily discussion every single day, one which we should never, ever forget. We can never forget what we as a people were subjected to, but also let Mr. Seme's words be a reminder that in standing together we can achieve anything and destroy even the most savage monsters. As South Africans, in standing together, we had achieved the unthinkable, we had slayed the apartheid dragon. However, our fight is still far from over. How can you rest when others around the world are subject to similar brutality as we have been, if not more? How can you sit back and watch while other apartheid regimes carry out daily atrocities on innocent and often unarmed civilians, especially women and children? How dare we remain silent when not long ago we were in a similar predicament with other nations lending support to us? Is it therefore not imperative and essential that we never ignore the plight of the Palestinian people? Millions of Palestinians, including those displaced with the establishment of Israel, find themselves having to live under military occupation as well as further Israeli expansionism in their lands. To this day, colonization and dispossession remain ongoing processes where Palestinians continue to enjoy land theft and encroachments on their basic rights. The United Nations, in its 27 Middle East Watch report, has unequivocally stated that Israel has established, I want to quote, an apartheid regime that oppresses and dominates the Palestinian people as a whole. I close quote. Peace-loving people around the globe, including South African Jews for a Free Palestine and Jews for Palestine, denounce a brutal, racist, ethnic atrocities meted out by the apartheid Israel regime on the peoples of Palestine. The Gauteng Provincial Legislature has always and will always oppose racism and apartheid in all its forms wherever such injustice may exist. The Gauteng Legislature is a platform of the people of South Africa who, having witnessed and lived through the horrors of apartheid in our country, are similarly vehemently opposed to seeing anybody having gone through the same, if not worse, atrocities. Further, the governing party of South Africa, the African National Congress, has consistently and fully supported the Palestinian cause and has similarly consistently opposed the brutal regime of apartheid Israel. Now that we as South Africans have realized our freedom, the ANC will never forget those who have supported the cause of a liberation all along, especially those whose freedom still evades them to this day, those who are still fighting for their freedom. We'll never forget nor abandon our Palestinian friends, brothers, sisters, supporters, and the ANC and the GPL will never abandon the fight against apartheid, genocide, racism, ethnicity, gender-based violence, and oppression, wherever it may exist. However, much more still needs to be done with respect to the liberation of the people of Palestine at all levels, politically, administratively, and within civil society, to move our condemnation beyond mere slogans towards decisive action by all sectors, including government. Honorable Deputy Speaker, just as blood and nutrients are vital to the healthy functioning of a human being, and even more so importantly, to the recovery of an ill person, so too is public infrastructure, important for the functioning of a healthy economy, and even more so importantly, for the recovery of a depressed economy. Road networks, water reticulation, electricity grids, rail infrastructure, ports, and many other similar public infrastructure acts as the lifeblood of a thriving economy. Destroying the blood circulatory system is vital to a human being, and similarly so, destroying the infrastructure services and networks is vital to an economy, especially one as fragile as ours that has been ravished by the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, to honor the legacy of PIC's leader Isama Seme on unity, if there is one thing we should be uniting around, it would be to focus on rebuilding and strengthening our economy and giving the importance of public infrastructure. It would be to jealously protect and even enhance our public infrastructure. But alas, we find the situation on the ground quite the opposite. We are unfortunate witnesses to the deliberate and conscious destruction and vandalism of our own public infrastructure. We're in fact choking on our own economic lifeblood and thus committing economic suicide. If we as public representatives ignore this scourge and leave it unchecked, then I'm afraid we'll be complicit in our own downfall. Well, as the governing party, as well as the Gauteng legislature, we say not under our watch. Whatever the reason and sinister motivation they may have, will never tolerate nor condone that acts by faceless criminals to destabilize our province. A call is thus made in all sectors of our society, individually and collectively, to root out this senseless vandalism and destruction of public infrastructure in our province. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we will do all what we can to restore confidence and hope in our people. In this regard, the Gauteng legislature has continued to discharge its constitutional mandate of oversight and scrutiny, lawmaking, public participation, and cooperative governance. On oversight and scrutiny, the Gauteng Legislature House committees have conducted numerous oversight visits to service delivery sites in the province. This was to ensure actual on-the-ground oversight at various sites, including schools, clinics, maintenance projects, and COVID-19 PPE distribution points. Oversight visits have been conducted in all development corridors of Gauteng throughout the period under review. During all oversight visits, committee members and staff were always compliant with the necessary COVID-19 protocol and restrictions. Further, committees had produced oversight reports on the work of the provincial departments, which reports included annual, quarterly, and focus intervention studies, reports as well as reports on additional portfolio specific service delivery areas. The detailed oversight and scrutiny by GPL committees of the work of the executive had resulted in many House resolutions having been passed. House resolutions are a powerful oversight tool to hold the executive to account on the oversight work conducted by House committees. In addition, not a single petitioner was turned away. The adoption of the petitions by the Petitions Standing Committee results in the committee facilitating responses and actions from respective departments on behalf of the petitioners. The petitions mechanisms of the legislature provides a platform for the people of Gauteng to submit their service delivery petitions or complaints to the legislature for audience and escalation after having exhausted their local municipal avenues. Despite lockdown restrictions on social gatherings and physical interaction, the GPL responded with agility and developed innovative mechanisms to continue engaging the people of Gauteng through social media and other digital platforms such as hybrid sittings and YouTube Live. This ensured that the GPL could still reach out to the people and still solicit their inputs and comments during live house sittings and debates. Thus, outreach engagements and interactions with all sectors of society had continued through these innovative approaches. Further, GPL committees had recorded substantial progress to ensure that laws passed are responsive to the needs of the people. This was done through the process of drafting bills and also through referrals of bills to the National Council of Provinces to ensure that not only do the bills pass constitutional muster, but also that they are representative of the needs of the people of Gauteng. In the period under review, numerous bills, both NCOP as well as provincial, were duly processed. Committees of the GPL do not exist and work as islands unto themselves. As legal formations, they are collectively represent the interests of the people, and thus through the Committee's Oversight and Accountability Framework, which is shortly known as COVAC, they have reported on the meaningful partnerships that they have created, maintained or sustained with our government institutions and constitutional bodies. This is to ensure that oversight, public participation and lawmaking work conducted by committees was shared, corroborated, peer-reviewed and strengthened through cooperative governance processes. During the period under review, committees have maintained meaningful involvement of the public and established sustainable partnerships with key stakeholders. These consist of Chapter 9 institutions, the Auditor General of South Africa, Human Rights Commission, Independent Electoral Commission, to mention but a few. Civil society organizations as well as mass media platforms were engaged, thereby ensuring that committees remained key in promoting and intensifying meaningful public involvement in legislature processes through the involvement of the public and key stakeholders in the SOM imperatives, particularly during the budget and annual report processes, as well as the legislative process. The GPL had also strengthened its partnership with the provincial executive through its innovative, standardized oversight, accountability, and reporting process, which creates a strong oversight accountability link between the legislature and the executive through standardized formats and processes. Through the SOR GP process, important areas of reporting such as resolution tracking and petitions management, among others, are centralized and focus on both the GPL committees and executive departments. Having noted the considerable achievements made by the GPL House committees during the 2020-2021 period, despite the lockdown restrictions and regulation, it is sufficiently clear that committees have indeed risen to the occasion and delivered on their mandates and given effect to the constitutional provisions as well as the standing rules with respect to oversight and scrutiny, public participation and stakeholder engagement, lawmaking and cooperative governance. The relentless and in-depth focus on oversight proves that the GPL continues to put the people of Gauteng first, no matter what the situation or circumstance may be. Going forward into 2021-2022 period, we will continue to identify and implement initiatives and programs that are aimed at improving the quality of life for the citizens of Gauteng. We will continue to respond to our mandate and priorities through the following adopted outcomes. Outcome number 1, which is enhanced oversight and accountability towards service delivery. The GPL will continue to identify and implement mechanisms for improving its oversight role over the executive, thereby ensuring a synergy with government. We will continue to improve on our oversight function by focusing specifically on each department's projects, commitments, and service delivery plans, and ensuring that each department remains accountable for its performance targets. This includes better use of oversight tools, including strengthening of tools such as committee inquiries process and focus intervention studies. We'll also further our flagship project, which is the standardization of oversight, accountability and reporting in Gauteng, to enhance oversight to the next level. On account number 2, which is increased responsiveness of laws to meet the needs of people of Gauteng, The Gauteng legislature has a constitutional mandate to facilitate lawmaking. Thus, we will continue to develop, facilitate, and implement laws that are fair, responsive, and in the best interests of the citizens of Gauteng. The public will continue to be part of the GPL lawmaking processes through public hearings and assessments of the impact of laws passed on the lives of citizens. We will continue to be proactive by identifying policy and legislation gaps, and when necessary, initiate and enact laws that enables achievements of the planned priorities of the sixth term. The lawmaking processes will continue to focus extensively on portfolio-specific laws through scrutiny and oversight over departments in order to facilitate the achievement of provincial and governing party priorities. The GPL will strive to participate in the national lawmaking processes in an effective manner and make important contributions that benefit the people of Gauteng. On outcome number 3, which is enhanced meaningful public participation. Meaningful public participation programs and engagements are an essential part of our mandate as the GPL, and as such will strengthen public participation and stakeholder engagements by continuing to improve profiling of stakeholders and targeting of relevant stakeholders in the public participation programs. Programs such as sector parliaments, Wallis Chaba campaigns, and public education workshops, as well as taking the legislature to the people, will be strengthened to ensure a wide reach and to provide a range of public participation platforms where citizens can voice their concerns and views responses to these are implemented. Portfolio committees will continue to utilize public engagements and educational workshops to educate communities and respond to challenges faced by communities. In order to improve the visibility and promote the work of committees and the House, the legislature will continue to use various media and social media platforms such as the radio programs and broadcast, television broadcasts, editorials, publications, newsletter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and campaigns, among others. The GPL will continue to facilitate and engage various sectors of the community, including the marginalized, to promote effective awareness and access to information, along with the following sector parliaments: the Youth Parliament, focusing on issues relevant to youth development, job creation, and empowerment; the Children's Parliament, providing a platform for children's participation in matters of democracy and nation building; the Women's Parliament, which aims to discuss ways to increase women's representation in Parliament and socio-economic issues affecting women in Gauteng; the Senior Citizens Parliament, to increase senior citizens' voice in matters of governance; the Workers' Parliament, to address issues affecting workers and the conditions of employment; the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Plus Parliament, to examine issues affecting this community in Gauteng; the People with Disability Parliament, to ensure increased engagements with designated groups; the Interfaith Parliament, to ensure that the sector plays an active role in the legislative and decision-making processes of the GPL; and the Commercial Sex Workers Parliament, which is aimed at creating a platform for meaningful engagement between public representatives and the commercial sex workers. We will continue to use the petition systems, which provide citizens with a legal platform to present their service delivery concerns directly to government and to demand answers. The petition system gives citizens the power to hold government accountable through a peaceful and constitutional means. The GPL will continue to foster greater alignment between municipal council and provincial legislature processes of petitions, as well as using technology to facilitate and improve the petitions processes, including the turnaround time for resolving petitions. On outcome number 4, which is improve alignment and collaboration between organs of the state. The GPL will continue to collaborate and work with various organs of states in targeted interventions to enhance sector relationship and coordination towards strengthening the Gauteng legislative sector to contribute to sector development locally, nationally, continentally, and globally. Relations with various organs of the state will also be reinforced to foster cooperative governance and to deliver public participation initiatives and programs to the Gauteng community. We will continue to participate in the sector forums such as SALS, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and I wish to indicate to this House today that in terms of CPA, we're now sitting in the CPA Africa region in the executive as the Gauteng province. And the Gauteng Speakers Forum to ensure alignment of processes and programs within the sector. The CPA exists to empower African legislatures through sharing of best practice in lawmaking, oversight, and other legislature work. The GSF aims to bridge the gap between the people of Gauteng and the government to attend to citizens' needs and further entrench GPL's public participation mandate. Working relations with other bodies supporting democracy will also be enhanced. Deputy Speaker, the budget figures for 2021-2022, it has to be strongly borne in mind that all of our plans for 2021-22 financial year, as well as the outer MTEF, have been developed against a tight and extremely constrained financial and fiscal environment. This has necessitated that we prioritize many of our plans and cut budgets in line with the limitations from National Treasury. Thus, our budget has been crafted with due consideration on the current economic climate, cost efficiency measures, the GPL Budget Management Practice Guide, as well as advice from internal oversight structures in order to determine alignment with institutional priorities, the capacity to spend, implementation of cost efficiency measures, and affordability of the plans. Notwithstanding this, however, the 2021 MTF budget continues to respond to the institutional strategic policy priorities of the 6th legislature, having incorporated other policy documents such as the National Development Plan, the governing party's priorities, relevant regional and global priorities, and the outcomes of the State of the Nation and the State of the Province address. Accordingly, between 2017-2018 and 2019-20 outcomes years, the GPL received a total budget of 2.2 billion. In 2020 and 2021 financial year, the budget allocation increased by 56.3 million or 7% from 761.4 million in 2019-20 financial year to 817.8 million. The budget allocation for the 2021-2022 financial year, however, decreases by 26.7 million rands or 3% from 817.8 million in 2021 to 791.1 million. This budget allocation makes provision for personnel costs for GPL and political party support staff, security in sourcing, house activities, committee activities, and outreach programs, public education and participation processes, members' facilities, operational and capital projects, as well as the existing contractual obligations, operational costs, and capital requirements. Compensation of employees accounts for 47% of the allocation in 2021-22 financial year, followed by goods and services at 32% and transfers to political parties at 19%. Capital assets constitute only 2% of the 2021-22 overall budget. Over the MTEF, the budget allocation increases from 791.1 million in 2021-22 financial year to 828.1 million in 2023-24, representing an average growth of 2%. As for our expenditure, the GPL expenditure increased from 645.3 million to 691.9 million between the 2017-18 financial year and 2019-20 financial years, equating to 2 billion rands over a period of 3 years. A significant portion of the overall expenditure in the outcome years is under Program 3, which is the Corporate Support Services, and Program 4, which is the core business, at approximately 47% and 36% respectively. This represents the core of the institutions from which a large portion of the administration and operation of the institution is given effect to. Transfer payments to political parties increased from 114.9 million rands in 2017-18 242.8 million rands in 2020-2021 financial years. In 2021-22 financial year, transfers to political parties increased to 150.9 million from 142.6 million in 2021-21, 2020-21 financial years, representing an increase of 6%. Over the MTEF, transfers are expected to grow at a rate of 4% on average from 150.9 million rands in 2021-22 financial year to 162.3 million rands in 2023-2024 financial years. Transfers to political parties consist of constituency allowances and political party funding and enable members to fulfill their constitutional obligations, reducing the dependency on private funding and enhance multi-party democracy. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I would like to reassure the people of Gauteng that we run a tight operation with high focus on stringent fiduciary compliance and proactive internal controls. Despite this, we still continuously explore new and innovative ways to improve procurement processes and reduce inefficiencies in our operations. Our supply chain management policy is regularly reviewed to ensure alignment to the SAM regulations applicable to all legislatures, therefore ensuring enhanced supply chain management standards. Similarly, the delegation of authority is also reviewed frequently to ensure appropriate levels of delegation and to improve operational efficiencies. We continue to engage service providers, including the historically disadvantaged individuals, as well as with programs within the GPL to educate and create awareness around supply chain management processes and policies. The relationships with all these relevant stakeholders will continue to be strengthened. We'll continue to prioritize the allocation of business to local and township service providers, as well as highly disadvantaged individuals, including women, youth, and people with disabilities, and thereby lead by example in contributing to an inclusive economy for Gauteng. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the effects of COVID-19 cannot be ignored. Yes, we have been affected. Yes, we have enjoyed immense pressure in all aspects of our business. Yes, our resources have been stretched to beyond breaking point, but no, we will never fall, will never fail our people, and will never be beaten. While we remain considerate to the effects of COVID-19 and of many other socio-economic factors, we have delivered and will continue to deliver on our mandate because our obligation to the people of Gauteng will never be on lockdown. Nonetheless, allow me to offer sincerest condolences to the families of those who have succumbed to COVID-19. To those who are still battling this illness, we pray for your speedy recovery. We appeal to one and to all, remain vigilant, to remain cautious, and to observe the necessary regulations and protocols. On this note, Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is therefore apt that as I present the GPL budget for 2021-2022 financial year to the people of Gauteng in offering hope during a most trying and difficult time, allow me to close with the words of none other than Piklika Isama Seme. Let me quote, "Oh, for that historian who, with the open pen of truth, will bring to Africa's claim the strength of written proof. He will tell of a race whose onward tide was often swelled with tears, but in whose heart bondage has not quenched the fire of former years. He will write that in these later days, when earth's nobles once are named, she has a role of honor too, of whom she is not ashamed. The giant is awakening. From the four corners of the earth, Africa's sons, who have been proved through fire and sword, are marching to the future's golden door, bearing the records of deeds of valor done." I wish to thank you all. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Much thanks, Speaker. Is there a seconder to this report?
Yeah, I rise to second.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'll put the question. Those who support the report or would like to wish the report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No one is refusing. All those who object to the report? Thank you very much. The report is adopted. Thank you. In proceeding to the next order, please read the next order, Secretary.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The fifth order of the day is Petition Standing Committee's fourth quarterly performance report for the year 2020-2021 financial year. Thank you.
Thank you. I call upon Honorable Litsalo. Is Honorable Litsalo in the house? Or rather part of the meeting, sitting?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just struggling with my camera. Not sure what's happening here.
Okay, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the residents of Gauteng and the membership of the House. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is an uncontested truism that the Petition Standing Committee has become a conduit which funnels in issues which the citizens of Gauteng have. With such a heavy duty, the committee and its ever-present membership takes great pride in executing its solemn duty as public representatives towards guiding petitions towards their logical and sustainable conclusion. With this said, I have the esteemed pleasure as the chairperson of the Petition Standing Committee to table the committee's fourth quarter performance report for the 2020-2021 financial year as follows. I will request that parts of the report which I will not speak to be regarded as being read. On introduction, the late Auditor General Gimi Magoitu warned at the launch of the first special report on the financial management of a government's COVID initiative in September 2020, that even in the midst of the crisis, transparency, accountability, and oversight should not take a backseat. Our work as the Petition Standing Committee hits this call. And as you will hear, the committee has achieved an impressive 70% resolution rate during the quarter under review, ensuring that we offer the petitioners access to power and play an oversight role on authorities' commitments to the people of Gauteng. Executive summary: during the reporting period, the committee adopted 30 new petitions, and these were referred to various authorities for consideration and reporting as guided by Section 7E of the Gauteng Petitions Act. Notably, there were 686 ongoing petitions from the third quarter, and the committee closed 21 petitions during the period under review. I will invite the House to go through all those closed petitions to see the significance of the petitions system. Therefore, the overall total number of petitions during the said period comes to 695. As the petitions, as per Section 4, subsection 4 of the Petitions Act, during the reporting period, there were 19 petitions rejected by the committee as being inadmissible. Key points that is singled out are that the committee achieved a 70% resolution rate, which is the highest resolution rate in the committee's documented history. 40% of adopted petitions were referred to municipalities which have their own Section 79 committee. So this is one area that we will have to deal with in respect of the amendments to the legislation. The committee's overall annual resolution rate is 26%. The committee deliberated on a total of 38 inadmissible submissions during the 2020-2021 financial year. During the quarter under review, 23% of the petitioners were female. The vast majority, 77, were male. The committee achieved a 30% responsiveness rate during the quarter under review, which is somewhat of a challenge still. The Gauteng Provincial Government Department still need to report accurately to the GPL's portfolio committees under the petitions management section of their reporting templates. Petitions analysis: the Department of Cocta and Human Settlement and the City of Tshwane had the most petitions. Moreover, 47% of adopted petitions were referred to municipalities which have their own Section 79 petitions committees. Most of these petitions had to do with RDP misallocations. Table 2 below will illustrate the number of adopted and resolved petitions as per the quarters under the 2020-2021 financial year. Overall, the committee adopted 81 petitions during the 2020-21 financial year and resolved 21. Therefore, the overall annual resolution would amount to 26%. And then under table 3, as you will see in the report, demonstrate the regional and gender distribution of the petitions. Put simply, where petitioners are from, despite which responding authority they are referred to. Most of the petitions emanate from the city of Joburg. Public engagement activities, holding hearings is proven to be helpful as it offers the public first-hand experience on how the petitioning system works. And additional, the petitioner gets to directly interact with responding authorities. Whereas hearings are important elements to ensure accountability by authorities, the committee still encounters challenges of non-submission of reports and non-attendance of departments and municipalities. Case point is the city of Joburg and in Fulani municipality during our March hearing. 2 petitions had to be postponed due to their non-attendance without tendering any apology to the committee. This hinders the committee's deliberations on the tabled petitions for discussions. Evaluation of responsiveness. Since the third quarter reporting cycle of 2020-2021 financial year, the Gauteng provincial government departments have been required to report on the number of petitions which were referred to their respective departments under each quarter. Moreover, report on how many reports they had finished the committee during each quarter under review. Unfortunately, for the second consecutive quarter, quarter 3 and now quarter 4, departments are still not reporting accurately and some are not completing the petitions management section of the reporting template. On responsiveness committee concerns by authorities, the GPG departments reported inaccurately on their quarterly reports, and thus portfolio committees would not be able to play an oversight on referred petitions. The committee is concerned with how portfolio committees play their oversight role on referred petitions as per the petitions management section. In as much as the portfolio committees are included in the referral letters to responding authorities, would have expected that they collate these referred petitions and use the list to verify the number of petitions that departments are reporting on. It is further concerning that the legislature itself does not have the petitions management section in their quarterly reporting template. Of concern is that it's June Pride Month, which honors the LGBTI plus history, and the GPL was referred a petition which called for more inclusive language. And the committee has not received a single response to this referred petition. On recommendation, in an effort to address the non-responsiveness by authorities to petitions and based on the concerns raised above, the committee recommends the following. The leader of government business needs to intervene in ensuring that departments all adhere to the reporting templates and report accurate. That the leader of a government business to revert to the committee with mechanisms to monitor reporting by departments with regard to petitions management sections. Furthermore, produce a progress report on the mechanisms which will need to be presented to the committee by the 3rd of September. So it's an appearance before the committee that is with the leader of a government business. And then 20 of the referred petitions, despite numerous follow-ups, were not attended to by the respective responding authorities upon their referral. And the leader of government business also devised escalation mechanisms to ensure that referred petitions are responded to and do not disappear in boxes. Can these device escalation mechanisms be collated into a report, which again will also need to be presented to the committee on the 3rd of September 2021. On acknowledgements, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank all active committee members and the administrative support adoption. In accordance with Rule 164, the Petition Standing Committee hereby presents the report to the House for adoption. Thanks, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Swallow. Is there a seconder?
Member of I rise to second, Deputy Speaker.
Who is that? It's seconded. Thank you. I now put the question. All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
Thank you, thank you. Those who are not in favor say no. Thank you. The yes or ayes have it. Thank you very much. The report is adopted. This brings us to the end of our sitting, colleagues. It brings us to the close of business for today. Thank you very much. The next sitting is on the 15th of June. Go well, go shell. Go well, go shell. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Bye.
Wait.